Our Woman in Jamaica is the prequel to a limited series of espionage thrillers called Tales of MI7, written by me, James Ward. It first appeared in 2015 and it features a young Ruby Parker, later the formidable head of MI7's Red Department and the sole character to appear in every single novel in the series. And it's set in Jamaica during the real-life general election that took place in 1980. I couldn't help feeling as I wrote the series that Ruby Parker was a woman whose backstory cried out for the telling, if only because she's a consummate professional. The personal life hardly ever slips through, but she's also a paradigm of moral integrity. So how did she get to be who and where she is? How particularly did she overcome the institutional prejudice generally affecting black women? The answer is partly, as sadly it probably has to be, luck. Here she's 25. Her parents came to this country from Montserrat in 1956, but as she says in the Kramsky case, all my affection is invested in Britain, every last bit. When Our Woman in Jamaica begins, she's living in Bristol, a highly intelligent, serious young woman with virtually no prospects. It turns out she's worked for the British intelligence services before, and the collaboration ended in disaster. Now they're keeping her on a retainer, one for which they hold all the cards. Things begin to look up for her when Michael Manley, the then Prime Minister of Jamaica, announces a general election. The British and the Americans both see Manley as a proto-communist, and since the Cold War's still raging, they determine to stop him. So far, probably so true to history. At a joint meeting, the Americans taunt the British. Don't they have a black guy on their books who can be inserted into Kingston? Well, sorry, no. Then someone remembers Ruby Parker. It's Hobson's choice, but actually, she has her supporters. So she gets a second chance. She and the Americans' man meet up in Kingston, but Ruby also comes face to face with her past. We find out why MI6 ever took her on board in the first place and what she did to upset them, which is a bit of a shocker. She's not nearly as conservative as we might have imagined. But then morality knows its own roads, and they rarely run straight through the country of conventionality. This whole novel's firmly based in history. I did a lot of reading about Jamaica's 1980 election, and insofar as Our Woman in Jamaica can be based in real events, institutions, and persons, it is. Cuba plays a huge part in the narrative, as of course it must. This is a prequel, and many readers will come to it either before the first or after the last book in the series. However, Ruby's backstory definitely becomes more important to her as she moves closer to retirement, in terms of the books from the seductive Scent of Empire onwards. I guess that's true of all of us. Our pasts increase in significance as we move further into old age. Tales of MI7 is in many ways her story, although apart from here, she's never the protagonist. Anyway, that's Our Woman in Jamaica. Technically speaking, it doesn't even appear in the series as such, yet it confirms its main character in every good quality we already knew she possessed, and adds a few more. Of course, it provides just one small part of our backstory. Between this and the Kramsky case, which takes place in 2010, the canvas remains blank. Hypothetically, therefore, there's room for a lot more of Ruby Parker. But that's for another day.